Are we on the air?
We're here.
No, yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that the very first words ever spoken on the podcast are we on the air?
Yeah, we're here. It's all right. Yeah, I posted tentative for a start. I mean, so tentative.
Is this what a podcast is?
Yeah, yeah. Welcome, everyone. This is one of what we hope will be at least 3 or 4.
Semi-consecutive podcasts.
Yeah.
Almost regular.
Yeah,
Right.
we've got people here who play Magic the Gathering.
Yep, we're gonna talk.
We're going to talk about it.
We're gonna talk about magic, like we're fucking pros or something. Which,
So if you came here for like gun control talk, you showed up for the wrong fucking podcast.
yeah, I'd have to say so. I mean, I guess technically we don't really know where shit might end up leading eventually, but we're gonna try to.
If there's guns in one of the artworks for a card, it might come up.
Yeah.
Control on New Capenna.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, it could happen.
There's some pseudo-gun
This would be
stuff.
the set if it was going to happen.
Well, yeah, so here we are. We haven't quite decided exactly how this is going to roll. I think we're just going to do some intro stuff. So talk about us as players, which, I mean, honestly, it's kind of awkward because anybody who's listening knows us all very well as players. So
Yeah.
they really, really do know who we are as players. So I guess we can just, bitch about shit anyway. And
Yeah.
whatnot. So
Yeah.
Who wants to kick us off here?
6 months from now, when we have 3 million concurrent viewers.
Well,
They can listen back. Follow
I'm
night.
going to kick it off by introducing owner and proprietor of Take Action, Mr. John Brown. Why don't you kick us off, John Brown?
Oh, God damn it. Well, I'll kick us off by acknowledging the people that are actually on the stream, because there actually is somebody on the stream talking to us. We can't show us our faces, defrots, because we didn't prepare for that. And honestly, you know what we look like, so fuck off. No one wants to see our faces. I'm Sharman. Anyway,
Show feet.
show
If I
feet.
know anything about
Right.
streaming.
Show us some fucking earlobes,
Yeah.
guys. Come on,
yes.
let's get fucking weird.
See, we said we weren't going to make this racist. Like that was like literally the first thing we said. Like let's make sure that nothing we say can be taken the wrong way.
I was
Dude,
not
so
in
like
this.
some like 80-year-old fucking World War II aficionado is gonna know that little gem about fucking that thing with Hitler and Stalin to know that a question about earlobes is inherently racist.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
suppose so.
it's not. I mean,
Right.
it's
If you not listen to the news, everything's inherently racist. Okay, moving back.
Yeah,
All
right.
right. So magic stuff. Yeah, I mean, so this is gonna be able
Speaking
to
of
be derailed
racist,
so
let's
easily.
talk about Teferi.
Right. Oh shit. All right.
They
so
made the only black planeswalker white. I see what they're doing.
yeah. Imagine the shit show in 20 years when they start rebranding the color of planeswalkers.
Oh, yeah.
How many people are going to lose their mind over that? Jace is now a woman. Wait a minute. Actually, we kind of figured. All right. So anyway, magic stuff. So me as a player, huh? Is that what we're talking about
Yeah.
now? We're gonna,
Yeah,
we're
just
gonna
just
keep going.
just a
You're
few
the
minutes about you as a player.
You're not the hardest person in the booth to describe as a player, but you're the hardest person I know in Magic to describe as a player.
Yeah, I've been all over the place for sure. I do not play blue mostly out of principle. I don't know why exactly. I had a reason like a while ago, but I think that was
believe I've
lost at the time.
Heard the stated reason: it's too easy.
Yeah, I mean, I have said
you,
that,
You
yeah.
have said that.
Yeah.
How
John is
would
black
you know?
as a player. I like that Dustin had to add as a player after that. But I know that's not also like the color of my skin thing. That's also just like me, culturally with all the militant hip hop I listen to. I mean, somebody could be easily confused.
Yeah.
And just the audio test. Oh, God damn it. I forgot about that. Thanks for that. This is not an audio test.
Yeah, don't disregard this shit. You should be listening.
Yeah.
Every podcast is an audio test.
Yeah, let's fix this
Every single
before you go into your spiel.
I guess here we go, John. My take on you as a
Podcast. Definitely listen to this.
For sure, it's worth it for at least 5 minutes.
Should we start over? Welcome, everyone. This is a podcast.
Hold on a second.
This is now a
no.
podcast.
Oh, yeah.
trying, I'm
Sorry.
trying.
Sorry. Hold on. We're not ready.
All right. Here we go.
Welcome, everyone. This is a podcast. John Brown, tell us about yourself.
All right.
Owner and proprietor.
As a proprietor of this thing that no one quite understands what it is anymore, the tattoo gaming shop that surprises everyone, that confuses most people. People leave 3-star reviews because we don't pierce.
Yeah.
Whoever that guy was, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
I guess I shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
I didn't say that in the reply, but get me speaking and I speak.
I called here and tried to order a pizza.
Right.
No go. So you're going to be
Yeah.
getting a 2-star review from me.
Overall, we are not take action tattoo and piercing. We are take action tattoo and tabletop gaming. So I mean, it's fairly obvious. The advertisement is straightforward.
Whatever you did to Chris, undo it.
I did something to Chris.
Anyone hear me? If not, that's probably for the best.
I don't know. What did Chris do to Chris? Because everything seems fine
Where's
here.
Chris's audio levels?
Yeah. He just doesn't know how to speak loud.
Well, I'm watching the bar go yellow every time I open my mouth. So
Yeah, I actually had to adjust it back.
so I'm trying to speak.
So maybe
quiet.
that's it. Maybe you adjusted it back and that's
We're
what fucked it
working
up.
out the kinks here. No, I mean it's good. This is where we started.
He's fine. It's not even Chris's turn to talk.
Anyway, it is not. We just keep getting sidetracked. Anyway, me as a player, it's not super interesting. I just like to play fair Magic. That's really
Okay.
in a nutshell.
You play.
I like to play techie things, interesting things that are like to a degree inherently broken in their mechanisms, but still overall fair in their in the end result.
You like to confuse your opponent for 90% of the game, and then they see what you were doing, and they become confused again.
Right.
But you win.
Well, now that doesn't really happen all that often. I don't actually win all that often. I play cards, and then I confuse people for sure, and that's mostly it. Mardu for sure is my baseline.
Mm-hmm.
I only play green as a support color, which I think is the best way to play green if you know the game. Otherwise, green's great for monkeys with hammers.
Monkey
And
bash.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll get on the monkey question later, and that monkey is not green.
You're the 3 or 4 card working together guy. Like you get.
Yeah, I like synergy, which unfortunately the economy of the game is really just shit all over. Any kind of synergy as a whole, shit's just gone too far, gotten too powerful. So now it's super super hard to make that work to any degree. So, but yeah, I don't know. I'm a classic fan of the game. I love the creativity of the game. I try to insert that creativity when I can, but still within the framework of whatever format is being played. Preferably a competitive format. I'm not a huge fan of what casual is turned into nowadays. It's definitely not the same as it was back in the day, back in my day, back in our day, But
when I think John Brown, you know what I think? I think Thraben Inspector and some 4-drop that nobody's ever heard
yeah.
of.
See, that's the thing. That's what makes me
I
so
always say.
sad. Is I
A
can't.
4-drop that nobody's ever heard of.
I don't
It's
get to
not a
play the
John
4-drops
Brown deck
anymore.
that doesn't have a
Like,
4-drop that nobody's
for
ever
a
heard
while, I could play the 4-drops. Now, I'm just left with Thraben Inspector.
It's not a John Brown deck if you can tell me what every card in his deck does.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that is a definite. What turn 1 play you can expect from me is a Thraben Inspector. That is my turn 1 play for sure. Absolutely, in pretty much every deck I have.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes you'll show me decks and it's like, what do you think? It's like, I would cut the Thraben Inspector.
See, that's
You're not going to do that, so.
Well, honestly, that's probably, I would assume most of the time, if I show you a deck list, that's probably the only card that you're like, yeah, you should probably keep that. That's probably the best card there.
No, that's not true.
That's mostly true. I try to not show you decks anymore because I know you don't, you're not going to like any of it.
Well, it's just like, I asked, like, well, why aren't you playing this? Like, well, that card's just so obvious and it's like really good.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like,
I love the John Brown reasoning for not playing cards.
do I need to ask the question again?
Half the time is that card's really good.
I don't want to just play. Well, it's not the card is just really
They haven't
good.
banned
It's
it
that
yet, John.
I don't want to play a pile of good cards. I want the deck to, again, creativity, again, some degree of flair, for Christ's sake. I mean, not all flair. Like, I try to operate within the competitive format, but I don't want to play just a pile of good cards. I had worked on a Grixis deck, and I was trying to adjust it into playable in the format. And at a certain point, I just took a step back, and I'm like, fuck, this is just a pile of good cards.
Mm-hmm.
Well, fuck this, I'm out. I just can't do it. I can't do it. I can't play just a pile of good cards. It's not in me. So, yeah, and value is the thing that I like. That's really me as a player is is value.
If
value-oriented player.
If I ask you to describe yourself in a color pair, what would the color pair?
Mardu.
That's not a pair. That's a
No,
tree.
pair.
That's three.
Orzhov.
I don't know what
Orzhov.
relationship
So you're
you were in.
Orzhov Mardu.
Yeah, in a pair, it's Orzhov, absolutely. For sure. And which it's funny because it actually, I think there's a lot of Magic as a game that...
You're an artifact guy.
Yeah, I'm very colorless too. But there's a lot of Magic as a game that, plays to people's personalities, for sure. Mm-hmm. And as a person, I am very much Orzhov. I am very much, a balance of the two things, of those flip sides of the coin. So I think that comes out a lot for a lot of people, for sure. But yeah, definitely Orzhov, definitely Mardu. I like the chaos of red, but baseline is definitely white black, for sure.
I can see that.
Yeah. Dustin.
Are we going to me now?
I think so. I think that's what's happening here.
I'm Dustin Holler. I also play Magic the Gathering. I do play blue. I just want to throw that out.
You're very much the blue player.
I do.
I mean, most good players play blue. So
yeah. Ooh, I've been typecast as a good player.
I'm gonna say the same thing for Chris.
I probably get. Speaking of getting typecast, I probably get typecast as like the control player, and that's fair. I take pride in that. I play a lot of control, but I would say I'm completely a one-trick pony. I mean,
yeah, it's just your baseline.
Yeah, it's just what I like to do. Like, I don't want the games to end that quickly. Like, you pay $5 for an FNM. Like, you got to get your money's worth.
Yeah.
You know?
You want to have a good time. For sure.
But yeah, I like to build control. You know what I actually miss? What really is me as a builder? I miss standard.
Right.
I miss standard being a thing that like people like to play and that was played, and I miss game days and like building the control deck to beat whatever the new hotness. Right. Like because there was always like 3 standard decks that were like the decks, and trying to build a control deck that could just compete with those 3 decks, like that's what I really love doing, but they don't let you do that anymore. Right. You're 100% right. Dustin Shireman, you nailed it. I am Demir, 100%.
Yeah.
As far as 3 color, I don't know.
I think green.
Demir splash, another color.
I mean, Grixis, I would assume have to be.
Yeah, I like Grixis a lot.
Oh no, I guess it's probably a tie between Esper and Grixis for you.
I like Sultai too. So
you
can flip a coin on the 3rd color. I'll make it work.
Right. Yeah.
I think of that Oko deck, and I think of the old Cory Bowmeister deck. When I think of like a Dustin deck, I would name the Cory Bowmeister Grixis control deck.
Oh yeah, that's an old school one. I'd play that today.
Yeah, that's when I think about. Well, what would Dustin play? Probably that Grixis.
Yeah, Tassiger.
Yeah,
I'll play me some Tassiger.
I think that card isn't. I think he might be a little bit more playable than he was. Like,
yeah,
he doesn't just like. There's not the argument of it. He just dies with the fish.
John and I had a conversation one time, and Tassiger was once heavily played, and then all of a sudden, everywhere where you would see Tassiger, instead you saw Gurmag Angler.
Yep. And
it really makes sense because Tassiger is a 4/5 with a cool ability, and Gurmag Angler is a 5/5 with so we got a 4/5 and a 5/5. 5/5 with no ability, completely vanilla. But all it takes is one person to play the 5/5 when everyone else is playing the 4/5.
Yeah.
And your 4/5 all of a sudden can't do shit.
Yeah.
So
it's legendary.
All it took was one asshole to play the less interesting card, and everybody has to play the less interesting card.
Yeah, for sure. Which is awkward now because now in the realm of delved creatures, there's the fucking big ass dragon thing. Which,
now we just play 8/8 flyers. It's
yeah. So although if you go to the argument between the two things, like, I mean, Tasker doesn't die to the flyer because he can't block the flyer. So like, I mean, that's true, John. I mean, I'm just saying, like, if you want an interesting card, there's still an option there, But it's at least a little bit more of a positive rationale than just like shitty numbers, Anywho.
Dustin is Wooberg from Dustin. I'm more Booorg.
Only you're a white player.
Oh.
I think if I had to cut a color out of your pie, it would be white.
Really?
don't
I played a lot of blue white though.
Yeah,
You did, but like that was very much a blue deck with white for like
Yeah,
wall
sure.
removal.
Yeah.
So if you're playing control right now, like, so I play some Moto. I'm starting to get back into it, and like, I'm not playing blue white because that's just like the obvious. Like, I want to play control, and like to me, control is like
Just
building something to beat what everyone else is doing, and like
For sure.
blue white is just such like the obvious choice. All the removal is like stupid good, and
Yeah, the removal
it just
is
seems
insane.
so boring. It just seems so boring, like to play like 8 Teferis or 7 Teferis and free kill spells and like. I remember when we used to play control and people would play Chalice of the Void and it would just shut down your control deck. And now the control decks are playing Chalice of the Void.
Yeah.
Like
with your 5/5 removal spell.
Yeah, your
mana removal
your
spell.
your 5 mana free removal spells.
Yeah.
It's
It's not technically free. It takes a card, which is
yeah.
something.
I mean, the idea being that you're just going to draw more cards than your
No,
opponent with
you
your
do. Yeah,
with your
you do.
8 Teferis or
Yeah.
whatever you're playing. So
Yeah.
it kind of works out. But all right, so that's pretty much me. And
These
Sharman
control
got
players
ahead
for
of us
sure.
here, and he just went ahead and spouted out some color pairs for everybody. And I find this interesting because Chris is next to talk about himself, and he said Chris is Azorius, and like I don't know, because what we do know is Chris is Jeskai because that's all he ever plays.
Yeah,
True.
I mean
Well,
it's
honestly,
confirmed for
I'm
sure.
not sure that Chris is Azorius. I think he's Izzet. I really think he's Izzet because I really think that you play control with an aggressive mindset.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
You're
the
looking
white
in the
cards
game
you
way
play
sooner
are
than I
also
am.
red. The white cards he does play.
I
can
can't
also be
imagine
red,
you
So,
playing a control deck without lightning bolts in it.
I'd feel bad.
yeah,
I do like the hi Chris Priest.
Chris Priest.
I do like the ability to turn the lightning bolt lightning helix give me, and
right.
that's why I play Jeskai. Is that ability to turn the corner?
Yeah, yeah.
I play Jeskai. Again, anyone who knows me knows that I play Jeskai.
Yeah. Which, it's funny because actually, you didn't used to play Jeskai. There was a time where you actually played a lot of green shit.
This is true.
And then you
when
played
I
Snapmaster.
I played Snapmaster.
And that turned the corner. That got you on the Izzet. And see, there you go. Like, that was a Tamir deck.
Mhm.
And you turned from a Tamir deck, the experience of playing that Tamir deck, into a Jeskai deck.
Mhm.
But the common theme there is Izzet. So I do concur with Dustin that I think
Yeah.
you are truly an Izzet player.
I remember the first time I ever played Chris Priest, and he was playing like some kind of green stompy deck, and it was standard, and I was playing some horribly brewed like blue-black control list that I hit. Like it wasn't even a list. It was just something that I made with cards that I had. And I'll never forget because it was my first time playing you. And like you started with like Forest and I played like the like tap come into play tap scry blue-black land.
Oh, yeah.
And you immediately said to me, you come into play tap lands. And that was my first impression of you. And then you just like stomped
and
my
it stayed
face in.
true. ever
Where like you
since.
played it was like the M14 like green 3/3 trample
Yes,
guy.
I was on green white stompy. I remember now.
Yeah,
Green, white, stompy.
and like you just like beat my face in while I was over here playing Taplands and scrying everything.
Yeah.
And you're just for 2 mana adding 3/3 and like I think there
Right.
was like a triple green 4/5 or something.
There
like
was,
Yeah.
there was, yeah.
Yeah, there were locks on the Smiters. I was playing elves, that green white Ajani that put counters on things.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that.
Oh
deck.
man,
I was
that card
playing-
was so bad.
I was
Yep.
playing the Abzan thing, I think. I was playing the Abzan Heroic. I remember the match that we had, and I remember the match that we had.
Yes, I remember our
both of those
match.
matches. Yeah, it was at Chimps.
Mhm.
That was fun. The Shining Color pairs is a fun game.
John is Azorius.
You mean Orzhov?
Orzhov.
Orzhov, yeah.
Azorius would be fun.
As a
We should make John
Azorius.
Azorius. No, John is Orzhov. He's black and white.
Common theme of no green in this room.
Yeah, no green. No green.
If you want to
Yeah.
talk about taking it easy, like with some of the most pushed cards.
That'd be
Oh,
a good
yeah,
idea
no,
for an
exactly.
episode. We'll just talk about green stuff.
Right.
Green
and how
stuff
obnoxious it's gotten.
that does things better than the other colors.
Yeah, no,
There's a green card that deals.
it's gotten
It
insane.
draws cards better than any other 1 mana blue card.
I don't think I could do it. We name an episode this week. We talk about green stuff, and I'll be like, well, okay. When I was 20, I had a
Right.
bachelor pad. We smoked a lot of pot.
We played the fuck out of Crawworm.
I did play a lot of crawl worms. I'll talk about crawl worms.
Oh, there you go.
I hate how they made crawl worm unplayable. Right, like now
Right.
it's just that 6/6 trample guy.
Right.
Like, and,
The common in every set is
yeah,
just now
or
a
some
6/6
6/6
trample.
guy who gains 10
Yeah.
life or whatever. Like, yeah, they've completely replaced crawl worm. He
Yeah.
would no longer be playable.
I mean, they've replaced like that 3 mana or the 2 mana 3/3, or the 3 mana 2 mana 3/2 with trample. That used to be like you could
Yeah.
really spike someone with this.
Right.
That's not anywhere
No,
near fucking
no.
good enough.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I'm playing the take action league right now, and like I have multiple 2/3s for 2 in my deck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just like what?
Yeah, it just keeps scaling up. It
Yeah.
just nonstop scale. It's insane.
They need to hit the burn it all down button at some stage.
Yeah.
It's like
So they do. But so at a certain point, they are banging against the ceiling
Mhm.
in a very exhausted amount of design space. So it's going to happen inevitably, and that's where there only is a button. There has to be a button. There has to be some kind of dial it back button, slow shit down. But they're never going to, though. Because the thing is they try to attract new players,
Mhm.
and new players want power. So
Well, they just need to say, hey guys, 6 months from now, there's going to be a ban and restricted announcement. There's going to be a lot of shit on it.
right,
Just
right.
be aware. 6
Yeah.
months from now,
Yeah.
we're talking like 50 to 100 cards.
Yep.
There's going to be some ban stuff
Right.
in Modern.
I love band talk. That's like my favorite
Yeah.
thing. It's my favorite Magic thing. So I used to be in the camp where like everybody wants everybody to be in the camp where it's just like bands are bad, and like, but you know what? You know what I see? Every time they ban stuff, people get really excited.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
yeah.
I really think that they should just like where they do this thing every time a new set comes out, like, well, when a new set comes out, we will announce whether or not we will announce
Yeah.
bans.
yeah.
And it's just like, you know what I think? I think that they should just ban or unban 2 things every time a new set comes out.
Sure.
I don't even care what it is, you know, like,
Right,
you know,
yeah.
and I don't feel bad for you for losing value on your monkeys.
Right.
You
No.
bought them.
You paid $90.
You can sell them today and get out of it.
Yep.
Right.
If you're holding on to them, you deserve it.
Now, all the broken cards are obviously broken cards. You can't feel bad for anybody.
Mm-mm.
Anybody when that happens to them, because you come on, guy,
You
should
know, you know what
should
you're
know.
doing when you buy a $120 card.
Yeah, exactly.
You know
There's
the
a
choice
reason
you're
why it's a
making.
$120 card, and any of
Yeah.
us that have, so for new players, I guess I'll forgive a new player because they don't quite
Sure.
understand those subtleties of the game yet, and they might not be able to really evaluate a card.
They can
truly.
still Google before they buy
Sure,
stuff.
but any like seasoned player knows what they're fucking with.
Uh-huh.
Every seasoned player that was playing
Oh, yeah.
Once Upon a Time and Oko
This card spiked
and
$40
all
in a
this
week.
shit. Like, no, you guys know what this is. Once Upon a Time, that's not okay. Like Oko,
Mm-hmm.
not okay. Like anybody playing these cards knows how good it is if you're a player, if you're a real player,
Yeah.
and you can evaluate it. So you should just see it coming.
The only people that could really be taken advantage of are like the remember Gary used to shit like
I do.
people with money to throw around in the game who are new, like super
Yeah,
green,
Exactly.
and so they just want to like buy the best deck.
Foiled.
That guy could get taken advantage of in this situation because he's just like, well, I'll just buy this because it's the best deck. And I've maintained for a long time that decks don't win games of Magic, people do.
No, absolutely. That was a good example. And you see good examples of that all the time.
I think you're right to the majority of the degree, to a large degree. But at this stage, I think there's enough power that you can take a mediocre player, give them a really powerful
No,
deck, and
it
it's so
happens.
powerful
It happens.
that
No.
they're going to win a lot of games.
There is
Yeah.
some truth to that, and it's not every deck.
It's not.
Like, I know that's people's biggest beef with decks like Tron.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We've seen it.
Yeah,
What can
and
we
it's
do
not
with
just big mana because I feel like you could give a noob a Tron deck and he could stomp the room, but then you give him like Amulet Titan
it? Oh,
Oh,
and he's
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
go
sure.
0-3 because
Nah.
he doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're obviously
Mill deck wins. I think that's Kyle. Right, Kyle. They do win. You've proven.
Yeah, this is true.
Now there is definitely. Oh, my wife is tuned in.
35% luck.
I don't think so.
I don't know. That's a
No.
lot of luck.
Variance is definitely a huge thing, and there's matchup variance too. Like some people playing one deck that's unskilled could just have a good match against another deck and just win just because of that. So there's definitely luck, but yeah, I 35.
But there's a difference between
35 is too much.
that variance in your matchups and luck. I think if you're a good player, your job is to build your deck and play in such a way that you minimize the amount of luck.
Oh, absolutely. No, that is the whole point. That's what makes Magic magic.
I think if it's two completely new players, sure, 65%, 50-50 luck and skill. But as you get better, skill takes over from luck.
Yeah,
Until,
exactly.
Like you get LSVs. You can't tell me that it's 35% luck and then watch LSV play and be like, well, he's just a lucky guy.
Right, yeah,
He's just
no, for
better
sure.
than you are.
Well, and it's at that point too, it's the micro decisions that are being made that separates those things. And yeah, no, you cannot deny that there is an amount of luck and amount of variance that comes into play, but it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't happen enough to really be that deciding of a factor.
Speaking of LSV, I don't want to go off on a tangent here, but I was
here we
listening to
go.
Limited Resources the other day, and he made the comment he's like, some people say I'm like will say that I'm one of the best players of all time, and if they ask how I would become that, I would say it's easy. I've lost more games of Magic than you have.
Sure. Yeah.
And I was thinking about that the other day because we were playing League on Monday night, and I was playing against a relatively new player, and he was like, I don't understand. He's like, I should be closer than this. I just stomped his face in. And and he was like, you're drafted the same cards that we are.
Right.
And I'm like, he's like, what's the difference? And I said, I mean, really, it's just experience. It's like, well, I say really it's just experience, but I mean, really, that's everything.
It is, yeah.
You know,
No, it
that's
is.
everything.
It is. And that's the thing that I push to people when I try to sell people on Magic is how awesome it is. What really decides the game is not money, it's not power, it's fucking tiny decision making along the way, which knowing what decisions to make in those slight moments is nothing but experience. Yeah, that's a good question.
Right.
I assume Kyle.
Before we leave this, though, I think it's as you get experience, too, you start to realize it's not that, let's just use LSV. It's not that he top decked the card he needed on turn 18.
Yeah.
The experienced player can look back and say, on turn 4, he made a decision that led him to the point
Exactly.
that he could last until turn 18.
Exactly.
He chose the path that led him to be able to
No,
draw
for
his
sure.
card.
To know what you can draw, what you can't draw, what is going to interact with, what can affect those draws.
When to
All
take
those
chances.
things. Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
it's all-
When to just commit, when to hold back. It's everything. It's complex as fuck.
and it comes in. And this new player that was talking to me, he was trying to understand whether or not it was just play or it was deck building, and I'm like, it's all of it.
It's everything.
And so I tried to play our games. I'm like, think about game 1. Like on turn 2, I played a creature. It's the white guy that I can't remember what the new mechanic is. Where
Connive.
You loot. Yeah, you connive.
Yeah.
So it became a 3/2 on turn 2. So I
Right.
played a 3/2. On his turn 2, he exiled a 7-drop from his hand to make one of his lands tap for one of 3 colors for
Right.
2 mana. On turn 3, I played another creature. I think it was, I don't remember what it was, but it was something like 3-power creature.
We assume it's at
His-
least a 2 or 3 power
yeah.
creature at
His,
that minute.
his turn 3, he played an equipment that made a treasure and then passed. And it's
Yeah.
just like, you're already dead.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
That's 3 turns, you are already
Yeah.
dead.
No, for sure.
And you're not going to realize that 5 turns from now, but
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
first two or three turns, you killed yourself.
We just yesterday they were playing Tommy and Zach were playing board games out there, and people always try to get me to play a board game. I'm like, I don't play board games. I don't play any of the game. I play Magic. And Zach was like, you don't even play chess. I'm like, why the fuck would I play chess? I play chess plus.
Yeah.
Like, chess. Everything in chess is included in Magic with 17 layers more. So I could play chess.
Articles have been written with the title like Magic is chess plus poker. Which,
Which is more than that.
Yeah,
That's
it's
absolutely. That's how I describe people that come into Magic that ask about it. Especially laymen's that have no fucking clue what it is. That's the best baseline thing I can say. But there's like 10 pluses on that. It's fucking
there are.
crazy. So
I want to. So we got my imaginary hero in the chat with a question. Do
Yeah,
you
it was
enjoy playing
a good
casually
question.
or in tournaments more?
I think that's a pretty easy thing to be answered
It's
for
easy
all
for
of
me.
us.
100% tournaments
Yeah.
for me.
100%. Yeah.
It's
I would much rather play tournaments than anything else.
What do we consider take action league? Because that's what I want to win.
No, that's.
Like,
I mean,
all the
that's
time. Like,
that's
just,
yeah.
That's, I just want to play.
It's
that.
that's still competitive. I mean, so and
Yeah, it
the
is.
thing that my problem. So as I said before, I mentioned briefly, I like casual. Back in the day, you know, I like casual Magic, and I could still play casual Magic. Other than the fact that casual Magic is now 100%.
Just Commander.
It's just Commander.
Yeah.
It's just Commander. There is no other form of casual Magic that exists. So until there is another form of casual Magic, I will have no interest in casual Magic because I
Yeah.
have no interest in Commander. And it sucks because I really like
Yeah.
old school casual Magic. Back in the day before we started the shop, if anybody that is listening or is in the shop knows what those days were like, I fucking love that shit. I love just playing a deck, just building a cool deck and just playing it. You know, we're not necessarily, I mean, it's nice to not worry about format sometime. So that's refreshing, and that is much more dynamic than Commander because that's still true to the game. Because Commander really is just not Magic. You start with maybe 9 cards in hand, and now with a new D&D Commander set, you're going to have backgrounds to choose from. So what is that going to be? Another card in hand? You know, so you're starting with like 10 cards in hand, basically. Like that's not the same thing. Like if you're playing casual Magic with everybody just playing 60 card decks with whatever the fuck they have, it's an entirely different experience. Different experience.
There's an idea for you, John. Just have a box of shitty cards, and if people say, "Hey, I don't want to play casual," like make a deck out of that. We got sleeves for you too.
We're gonna time travel back to 1997, guys. Let's go.
This is why I love Limited and why I love Cube specifically, because I feel like Cube is like it's such a good way to bring like the casual and competitive player together.
No, together it is.
Yeah.
It is. Cube is actually, and then it is its own format, and it's a really beautiful format too. It's pretty awesome. I don't know. Yeah, and you know, to this day, right now, I still, to a degree, am a casual player at art, like the true Magic player that I started out as.
I don't think anybody would disagree with that.
I'm still that. I'm still that. And what sucks is I don't really like. I do enjoy multiplayer when it's just Magic. Like I would not mind at all just sitting down with anybody
That's
and
where
just
we differ.
playing their fucking play your modern deck. Let's just play a multiplayer game right now. It's fine. We don't need to worry about anything. Just play your fucking deck. Let's just play. You know, I'll sit down with somebody if they're playing a bunch of Commander decks. If they didn't give a shit, if I felt like it, I'd play my fucking modern deck. I don't give a shit. Like I'm fine with multiplayer. And I understand why competitive players aren't, but what saddens me is that multiplayer, again, has just turned into Commander.
Yeah.
Because if you take 4 modern decks and play multiplayer, that does not look like the same game as a Commander game. That is not the same multiplayer game, not whatsoever. And you don't get to explore any of that space anymore because it's been occupied.
So, I threw a little sample out into the waters. I think it's fair to say I'm a competitive player. I played 3 weeks in a row at Take Action on Wednesdays when they do Commander. I built a Commander deck. I actually built 2. I came in and I played Commander for 3 consecutive weeks. And it kind of gave me, I was trying to get some perspective on the format. And here's what I came away with. First off, I didn't build these Commander decks with any type of a list. Like, I just built the decks, like, with cards that I like. And I got a lot of, why aren't you playing this? It's like, well, because I'm not.
Yeah.
You know?
Is there any other reason?
Yeah. Which I get. I've asked the question. I get the question. But I think it's supposed to be a casual format. You should play cards that you like. My problem that I ran into was I noticed like the first day nobody knew who I was, like week 1, really. I mean, because Commander players are different from, you know, people that run in the modern circles. But like week 2, like I was dying quickly. like people were just like, fuck this guy. And then the 3rd week, it was actually like somebody audibly said they were trying not to play in my pod. And like I was playing against people that put like time walk effects in their deck. To me, that's like dirty. And I was trying really hard not to do that.
Right.
Like I actually was building a deck and I realized like, oh my god, this card with this card is like, I can make infinite mana. I need to get this out of my deck. This is insane. Because I don't want to do that. Like, because that's lame. That's lame. Which is like, okay, I make infinite mana and bounce everybody's permanents.
Yeah.
Like, that's I think what we don't want to do.
Yeah, I built a commander deck for the first time in a long time. Kai Carr brought it in here a few times. And I think the last game of Commander I have played was about a year ago. Or halfway through the game. And, like, I was doing pretty well, and someone Armageddoned. And I was like, you've got some fucking stupid combo. They go, no. Have you been sandbagging lands? They go, no.
No, I just haven't.
You're just playing the card Armageddon. Yeah. So, like...
I mean, that's a better reason.
So, 30 more turns go by.
So whoever's winning wins.
Yeah.
Well, no one had lands. It was whoever top deck lands.
No, and
I mean, at that point, it's whoever has the better board.
Whoever has mana rocks.
What we've just talked about in this couple of minutes really opens like 18 cans of worms.
Oh, yeah.
So like problems with that format, as a whole. Like I definitely do get what Dustin was talking about, how they were like, okay, you're dying quickly. That is definitely a problem with multiplayer as a whole. Is there's always going to be that to a degree. Like the room. On one hand, it's fair that obviously, like when there's a threat, and that's how we play in normal game of Magic. If there's a threat, if there's a threatening card, you kill the fucking card.
Yeah.
Like you don't like, you've got a fucking goddamn, I don't know, Omnath, and I'm gonna kill your, Wall of Roots or something. Like you're not gonna do that. You're gonna take the threat out. So I get that to a degree, but when you add in, the camaraderie of the guys that have been playing together for so long, and they're like legitimately like, let's go guys, like that's can be pretty unhealthy. I remember going to a GP, the first Conspiracy that came out, and I played in that format, and we did a draft, and I was very excited about it because I really liked the idea of the the weird draft cards I did in that thing. I can't remember what they were called, the Conspiracies, but I can't remember exactly how you drafted them now.
I know, but I know what
they're like cards that you draft that help you while drafting.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of a thing.
It was a super interesting concept. I was excited for it, and then I sat down, and I played with two dudes that had probably been there all day and drafting since fucking the wee hours of the morning, and they're fucking bros, and like they just fucking murk people one by one. I'm like, that's fucking stupid. Like, how is that even remotely fun for you? Like, this is supposed to be a fun thing, and it is very true. And I get why competitive players don't like multiplayer, because it's just not a lot of fun a lot of the time.
I like it in small doses, but for me, I give up too much control. I don't like the fact that like there's problems and I can't take care of that problem because you won't get on the same fucking page.
Right.
And like,
and that's why I do like the idea of multiplayer, where it's not, because that's the thing I hate about multiplayer the most, is getting people on the same page.
You hate the...
I hate bargaining. I hate table talk. I hate people like, help me out, bro. Yeah, fuck you. You're my enemy. I want you to die.
One of my least favorite things is when somebody taps like 4 mana and they have this like, okay, I have this thing that can blow up any permanent. What should I kill?
Yeah.
And it's just like, why are you tapping mana if it's not obvious? Then
it's just cards.
You don't need to play that card.
They're doing that because this is their social.
It is, yeah. It is.
This is how they social, which is 100% fine. Like Commander's great for that. I have nothing against Commander in that people should enjoy it, and it's great for what it does. It's just not. I don't think it's for me.
Well, what I always say is it's just a different game. Mm-hmm. It's a game that's played with. It's a game that's played with Magic cards.
Mm-hmm. I kind of put it in the same. The same arena as Arena.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's more for newer players, and I think that if you want to be competitive, playing either of those, either Commander or Arena, is going to create really bad habits.
That's what my concern with it too is the habits created.
Like I noticed in the 3 weeks playing Commander, it's just like, oh man, I missed my trigger. Like that's something I said. I missed a trigger, and somebody was like, well, go ahead and draw the card. It's not a May. I'm like, you don't know how triggers work.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, it's very frustrating in that sense. Yeah, it sucks because I was actually consciously like, all right, not gonna bitch about Commander. Not gonna bitch out Commander when we do
And
this.
they work out, John.
Not gonna bitch out.
No,
I knew it was.
I mean, we're bitching about Arena now. Like, let's shuffle into bitching about Arena.
Right. Oh, I'm down for that. I haven't played it
Won't bring
myself,
up the monkey.
but
Yeah.
right.
It's not on Arena, so we don't have to. Yeah.
Right. Now, Arena. So I appreciate, and I again, still kind of on the Commander thing. Like, I appreciate that it's
One more shot.
An easy. Well, it ties in. It's an easy thing for new players to get into. I like that.
Yeah.
It creates bad habits.
I like
Absolutely. And it's just frustrating because it is the thing for new players. Like, it is now what new players do, and like I hate that it's a format that the first thing they do is jump into that, and they also just don't understand the game at all. Like you said with the triggers, because when you first start playing, all the actual phases and steps and how the game works is always glossed over. Always glossed over. Even just one-on-one games, like you gloss over things that aren't a big deal to gloss over. They get glossed over a little bit, but in a multiplayer thing like Commander, shit is completely just not paid attention to. You got dudes fucking around on their cell phone, having a side conversation. Like, it's just like nothing is actually understood of how the game actually works until they've been playing for like a year. And then they start to get an idea about how shit works when shit comes up.
I'm sure
And that's not good either.
all three of us have had the experience of playing at like an F&M and someone misses a trigger, doesn't draw a card, something, and they notice like, multiple phases later, and they like go to draw the card, and you have to stop them like, no, that's gone. That's in the past. You don't do that now.
If we were at any big event, we called the judge, he'd say the same thing. Too many game actions have passed.
So Isaiah says Arena is a good game, and so
I've played it. It's free.
So is Magic. They're both. I mean, they're both good games in their own way.
Just separate them, and they are good games. in their own way.
I'm like no. I mean, we're not trying to completely trash on your game.
They're just different things, and
So here's a little story that I had. It's been a while since we've had drafts around here. I think it was like pre-COVID.
Unfortunately,
we had a player that was. I'd never seen him in here before. Older gentleman, and it was whatever set had the jump start mechanic. Remember where you like discard a card to recast it for your graveyard?
The
next time?
last Ravnica block. I can't remember.
Okay, yeah, it was the last Ravnica block.
It was a while back,
and he cast a jump start card from his hand, and then after he cast it from his hand, instead of putting it into his graveyard, he turned it around backwards and put it back into his hand. And he said,
Right.
I'm like, what? Like that goes in your grave? Well, this is how they do it on Arena.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I really want you to put that in your grave.
We're not sitting in your living room.
I mean, that's part of the thing. Like playing paper Magic, like when you play things that are like have abilities from your graveyard. Part of the game is remembering that you have things in your graveyard that do things from the graveyard.
Yeah.
Like
It's
using it in your hand is
mechanics.
kind of a cheat code, right?
Yeah.
I've also played against the people who like start to do something and then stop to read the card, and they like feel like they have to explain. Sorry, I play online.
Right.
And like
right.
you don't understand that because normally the card just goes away and you don't have
Right.
to think about it anymore. It's like, man, you
Yeah.
have to tell me what that card does.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Which is fine. But
it is, and it's good for players to have that space to play in and learn the game. It definitely sucks that so much of the game gets ignored in those formats, and especially with my big beef with Arena, from what I've heard, is them just redesigning cards arbitrarily.
Yes.
When they should have already been designed that way in the first place, and then not doing anything about the cards in paper. And then also just making new cards just for Arena.
Yes, yeah, that's why I stopped
playing.
playing.
And
Like
then
spellbook cards or whatever they're called.
Cards that say, "Oh, well, this card has a spellbook, so you can get these other cards
for one of
put
these
them in your
15
deck." Or
cards.
like,
Yeah.
Wait, he just gets to get a time block?
Yeah, well, the one that really just set me off, like maybe I was on the fence of it not just pissing me off, but then I was just over it. Is some card that like puts lightning bolts in your deck when you attack. Just fuck off! Like, what is that?
Is it so? I don't know. Like, and maybe nobody here knows. Is that like? Was that like a standard legal card in Arena?
I have no
or was
idea.
it just like
I can't
like
speak to that. Yeah.
they've
To me,
got
it was
so
the principle of that I was just like,
maybe
no.
Isaiah can shout out in the chat.
I was playing a flash deck where I had like Brimore and Cutthroats, but Spellcaller was not legal. So whatever format that is, but there you go. It was free. But I remember that someone played. It was like a 4-drop or something.
Not standard,
I don't know. and he played a card, and then I just saw him looking through cards. I'm like, what? And like Time Walk. And I'm like, how? I don't think I caught it the first few times. I'm like, how are people playing Time Walk on me every fucking game? That card's not legal. How, is there hacking going? Oh my god, that card's bullshit.
Yeah.
You just get to search one of like 15 cards and choose a Time Walk? Like,
yeah, no, it's frustrating. And that's, again, it's just a separation from the game that we play.
Yeah.
It's a different game. And it's fine that it's a different game. But when you get people that learn on these platforms in these other games, and it sucks because I want...
Alchemy and Historic. Thank you.
Historic.
I want...
Historic is probably...
And I'm sure that we all do. We want people to play Magic.
Yeah.
Right? So when people go from these T-ball versions of Magic... to playing,
shots fired.
Yeah. to playing actual Magic, most of the time.
To the coach's pitch that is Commander.
Most of the time they bail and won't play Magic because it's too much for them.
Mm-hmm.
So they have this little safe zone, and it's fine. Again, it's fine. But goddamn it, I want more people to play Magic. Mm-hmm. And that's, I own a store. I want people to play Magic.
Yeah.
Play Magic. Especially since we try to build the store as a tournament store, I want nothing more than to have good turnouts for my tournaments. But when you have all these new players that play through Arena and play through Commander, and they're just too damn scared to play an actual Magic, or it's too frustrating or confusing, it's like, what good are these things actually doing? It's not doing any good for the game of Magic. It's doing good for Wizards because they're selling the shit out of product, but it's not doing anything good for the game of Magic. And that's definitely pretty fucking frustrating. I just heard kids say today that, I gave up on Modern, or I had a Modern deck, but I just gave up on it. Commander players, and it's like, why? In my head, why did you do that? Oh, because you probably got your ass handed to you a shit ton of different ways and times, because through playing this version of the game that you're comfortable with, you don't know how to play the actual game. And it's a slight for them too. I want them to know how to play the game. I want them to really enjoy the game, because what makes the game enjoyable to me, and this goes back to casual versus competitive, is in competitive, you get the entire experience of the game. You get all of it. In casual, you get like a fucking fifth of it. You know?
Well, it's people want different experiences, so if all they want is that casual, that's fine.
It is.
But I think
it is fine.
Part of the reasoning is that Wizards has so pushed that they've seen that they can make money on casual, and they've so pushed it, and they just don't care about competitive.
Not as much as they used to.
Chris, I really appreciate your look at that particular topic, because like you're a D&D guy, and so like you're infinitely familiar with a game where everybody wants something different out of it.
Yes.
And like how hard it is to balance a game like that.
Right.
And satisfy everyone.
Yes, I mean, that's a good comparison. I just think that I think Wizards doesn't realize that if you don't nurture competitive, you're hurting everything else.
Yeah.
I think that they maybe are starting to realize that they've changed.
They're trying to.
I think they've recognized that, like, turns out we can't just neglect everything but Commander.
I think
turns out people like the Pro Tour.
Yeah, it's so weird.
I think how it hurts, how you said that it hurts everything else, I think how it hurts everything else is when you hurt the standard bearers of the game, the guys that have been playing competitively forever. They're the gatekeepers.
These are the guys that the Commander players yell like, "Hey, how does this roll?"
Exactly. We're the guys that bring you in. We're the guys that show you the ropes. We're the guys that nurture your experience. And when you just like shit on us, we're like, "Where the fuck am I nurturing this guy's experience?" Like, give us something here. Give us some motivation and some incentive to want to be the gatekeepers and guardians and the godfathers and the parental figures of the new players.
It means something to have people in the shop that people can go up to and say, "Hey, I'm putting together this deck. What do you think about this?"
Right.
Like, or we look at this list.
Right.
Because if you lose the people that you can ask that of, you have a bunch of people playing a lot of shit.
Right.
And eventually they lose interest because they can't improve. Right. They don't know how to improve.
No, they don't. And they don't know how to, it also warps how to assess cards.
Exactly.
In a very serious way. Like cards that are just fire and Commander are just damn hot garbage, or just like nothing anywhere else. And it's just... Yeah, so then that's how they think of cards at that point, and they don't appreciate the other way to think about cards.
Yeah, and to be clear, I don't think anyone here is saying that competitive players are more important than the other players.
No, we're all important.
They're an integral part.
Exactly.
as important as the
Yeah.
others.
So the white black guy will say that the most important thing is balance. You know, like that's
bringing it back.
yeah, that's what everything needs is a balance, and they're upsetting the balance because they're just pushing, they're leaning so
White black
hard one
guy's
way,
turning
and
into
that's gonna
Yoda.
kill the fucking boat, man. Like, yeah, I like Isaiah's comment there. Exactly, modern is too expensive to play other than Commander, but dude, like Commander, and so what that is really is you can play Commander and have a good time when you don't have a lot of money in your deck, and you can build into a powerful deck and still play because you can just sit there and fucking like, hey, buddy, help me out. I'm going to sit here and be ignored, or I'm going to cry and make people not attack me because they don't want to hear me cry, or whatever the fuck reason it is. You know, but in a competitive format, you have to spend X amount of money up front, you know, so that's that difference there. But it is a silly argument by people, I would say, because they are spending the same amount of money eventually.
To comment again on casual versus competitive, I like competitive because you're what's for dinner. Like,
Right.
money to get in, you feel bad when you lose, you feel good when you win.
Right.
It's on you.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
That's what I appreciate about
Yeah,
it.
no, for sure. There are no rations. There's no, and you know, for me, as a player that I am, I don't have anything to blame on the fact that I don't fucking win ever because I play wacky bullshit. Like, I'm not gonna cry about it and be like, oh, I lost because fuck, baby. I lost because I'm playing fucking weirdo bullshit. You know, like I'm playing stuff that I know is not gonna get me wins, and I'm putting it all accountability, man. Like, I'm not gonna cry about it and be like, oh well, whatever. Like, no, I know I'm accepting the challenge, and that's what I love about it. For me, is I like that challenge. I like those few moments when something I do after working on a fucking thing for months and months and months and grinding it and grinding it and grinding it, and actually turns into the thing that I knew it could be. And that's only usually a window before some other fucking car like Monkey gets printed, and then shit's out the window. But you know, that's what I play for.
I always thought you were an interesting case, John, because I felt like the sweat you put into it was so much more mental, and like you don't actually have the time to get the reps that the people you are playing against do, and so like
he's the bodybuilder.
When you
that
sit
never
down
goes
to
the
play,
competition.
it's like there's so much more at stake in your mind. Than
No, there
else,
is,
just
and
because
that's
you never get to play, and like you've had this deck you've been brewing in your mind forever, and
outside of being able to play, actually get to play, I'm still like at home fishbowling and fucking with it and blah 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 blah. And and that's why like one of my weaknesses as a player is how much the shit gets to me, and that's exactly why, because I have so much invested into it. And again, but that's still on me. You know, it's still my fucking fault. I could just pick up a deck, play burn.
So we got M-12 in the chat. A couple of comments here. It's hard to try and explain to newer players how holding priority and the stack works for combo decks.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that is a feel bad moment for the more experienced player too, right? Like there's nothing like I actually playing League against an inexperienced player on Monday. Like my opponent tried to put an aura on his creature, and in response I bounced his creature. That feels bad.
Yeah.
And he's like, so what happens to my aura? I'm like, it goes away.
It didn't happen.
Yeah. I think that's a feel bad for everybody.
No, it is.
It's hard to explain, and if you feel awkward, it's like, look, dude, you're dead.
Yeah. Well, and
you're about to be dead.
It's the most important. Like, those elements are what makes the game the game. The stack is what makes magic, you know? So, like, having so many players just running around, having no fucking clue about this super intrinsic thing, this fundamental layer of the game is crazy. And yeah, I definitely agree with Mike there, too. Modern is nothing. Try getting people to play Legacy and complain about money. For sure, yeah. Legacy is a whole other thing.
Yeah, I mean, Legacy, you can't say that it's a reasonable money barrier. Legacy is
it is a money barrier.
What is the cheapest deck that you could reasonably say is competitive?
Death Shadow.
And how much does that cost?
However, it's basically the same as the modern Death Shadow deck because
but they still play a number of dual lands.
That's what it is. That's what it is. That's the separation.
They don't have to, but I think that the most of the lists that I saw when I watched Legacy had a number so that they didn't have to.
Yeah.
Well, I think another barrier for Legacy too is just, especially for, again, Magic tries so hard to bring in new players, and you've got these old cards that like are really confusing to new players. And shit, if they've never to read an old card and how it's actually fucking written, and you know, like they're going to be like, what the fuck? I think the entire text box is full.
Oh, yeah.
None of it makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like,
Some
what
of
is this?
the newer cards are pretty confusing. I have the in my league deck the whatever the magpie.
Right.
Like, it's hard to explain. Like, that card is really fucking wordy.
Yeah.
Like, it comes in, and like for each player, you can exile a creature until it leaves the battlefield. If a creature that you own enters the battlefield from this ability, it enters with 2 extra 1/1 counters.
Yeah.
And like, I'm just like, this is a really confusing card. I'm telling this to a newer player, and like, he's like, well, I'll just read it. I'm like, okay. And he read it. I'm like, I don't understand.
Do you understand how exiling things works? Do you understand how being tied to this?
And that's definitely that card's a good illustration.
Yeah, good call. Manaless Dredge is probably.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good example of how the disparity between new players and experienced players. Because like I remember when that card, the set drops, and I saw one or two articles at least talking about how complex that card was, and like.
Which one are we talking about?
The Magpie.
The Magpie. Yeah.
And I looked at it, and I'm an experienced player, so like.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, it's wordy, but like I get it. But
I will say the way that I just explained it was a way better job than what Wizards did explaining it on the card.
Yeah. No, it's definitely wordy, and that's again why if you have a room of fucking noobs and you're printing shit like that, which they continue to do, then people are gonna just stand around scratching their heads and fucking up triggers and not knowing what's what. And
Wizards needs to print shit for 2 years and just.
Dude, and
we're resetting.
Last year, I got people to want to try to play pre-modern, which I had a lot of fun with. And what I appreciated about it was those cards were a great example of the time that Wizard did that. That they corrected like a motherfucker. And like shit was designed in a super fair way. Everything was dialed back. Like, a creature was, you paid 1 mana for everything on that. They weren't shit like they were. The creatures, they were better than Alpha, Beta, Unlimited, Revised. Like, the creatures weren't trash, but it was designed in a fair way. Like, if it did something powerful, you're going to pay a fair amount for it, but it's a fair amount for what you're paying, And I definitely would like to see one of those corrections happen again. And I think it can.
Oh, it can. I'm surprised at this stage that Wizards still seems so scared of upsetting people. Because, like, nothing you've done has driven people away. Your game is still making money.
No, exactly. And I would definitely argue that there is probably nothing for them ever to do to truly... So, and the one thing might be the whole reserve list thing, right? Because everybody says that. Everybody says that.
Everyone says it.
But time after time, I see them print cards in these master sets, and everybody that's an old collector grumbles like, oh, my cards aren't fucking worth nothing.
Yeah.
And then the next day you see them like, yeah, I just bought 4 cases.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't give that much of a fuck. Like, here you are. Like, no matter what they do, people buy the product.
And
so
the people who are going to be upset, guess what? They're not the people playing your game.
No, they're not.
People you're playing your game
address this. The reserve list. All they said is, this is a list of cards that we promise we will never print again. So here's my thought with that. Everybody know what Llanowar Elves does?
Yeah.
You know what Elvish Mystic is?
Right, exactly.
You notice how they're like kind of the same card?
Yeah. Yep.
If they wanted to, they could keep the reserve list intact and just, like, they could print the same cards with different names.
They already kind of do because of Commander being such a phenomenon. They regularly do that. They regularly print different variations of the same card. Probably for the sake of Commander. So, yeah, it's bound to happen eventually,
And they have enough examples now that even if someone said, well, it's functionally the same card, it's like, well, no one said anything when we printed Elvish Mystic.
Exactly.
That's fine. We have a history. We do this. Elvish Mystic, Llanowar Elves, not the same card.
Right.
Everyone agrees? Cool. So this Fiery Plains, red, white land.
Fiery Plains and Wetlands.
Exactly.
They're not the same.
And it's so easy to just add some other slight thing to it. Make some duels that make you pay 1 life.
Well,
fuck it.
I hope
your
they
opponent
just
gains a life.
Right.
I
Yeah.
want them to spit on the investors and have a red-white dual land that says you may have this. This enters the battlefield untapped. You may have it deal 1 damage to you.
Right? Yeah.
Not the same card.
Yeah.
Functionally different.
No, that would be fucking awesome. Because how many times you get a new player that would just like, should I take the damage, right? Some guy like, yeah. You take that damage.
Yep. Definitely should. Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's how it's worded, man. Like, you should. I mean, I'm not a judge or anything, but
What would be even better is wetlands enters the battlefield tapped. When wetlands entered the battlefield, untap it.
There you go.
No.
Two separate triggers. You can abuse this thing.
That's what I'm saying. That's a slippery slope, man. Like,
Wetlands may enter the battlefield tapped. That's it.
Right.
That's all.
I mean, and that's a good example of them not really caring about the competitive players. Because if they cared about these competitive formats and Legacy,
I would buy into Legacy so fast.
Oh yeah, exactly. Because Legacy is super interesting.
It's just the lands, right?
It's really
just the lands.
it's mostly There's probably some
I have
other
no
stuff
problem
maybe
paying for Force of Wills. It's
Yeah,
the lands.
I can bite the
Yeah.
bullet on Force of Wills.
Exactly.
I don't give a shit.
Yep.
I can't also
No.
pay $1,000.
If they gave a shit
for each land.
if they really gave a shit about their other formats and competitive play, they wouldn't be so hesitant to do this because they would create an influx. All of us that are like modern players that would love to get into Legacy because we're old enough players to know these cards and we're experienced enough players to enjoy what Legacy is, we would fucking jump into that in a drop of a hat, man. It wouldn't take anything. But they don't want to. So Legacy
I think that you have a dearth of players who would gladly drop $2,000 on a Legacy deck.
Yeah.
Cannot drop $20,000 on a Legacy deck.
Exactly. Yeah. No, like
Cannot
I'm
spend
can't do it, man.
$20,000
We are just living normal human beings.
Yeah.
We are not Elon Musks. So yeah, no, there's a lot of things. And I guess like so it's funny. I had the thought of titling this the state of things and like just kind of basically get actually working into that as we've been going here. But there's a lot of things they could do. And overall, like I do think the game it's still in a pretty healthy place. I mean, it is. There's some things that we would all like to see go and Commander and Arena and all that is honestly, as much as I do, and I honestly don't want to bitch about it. I try not to, especially with the many Commander players there are. I'm perfectly fine with it because it's just another thing. It's fine. Just whatever. It's over there. It can be there. I just would like to see some more support for the game that I know of.
We only have I only have to care about Commander and any other stuff that I'm not really into because that seems to be all that Wizards is into.
Yeah,
That's the only reason I have to care about Commander.
Exactly.
Is because it seems like that's all Wizards care
I
about.
mean, it sells packs.
Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing more and more. I mean, not as many as you like. I'm to that point. Like, I don't buy packs anymore. Sorry, John.
No.
I don't buy packs ever. Like, I don't even open packs.
Right.
You know, like.
Well, so that's what's fucking goofy is there was a time where packs were for limited play. Really. And now that's out the window. Now they just make packs just to open. That's all people do with them is open them to play that lottery.
How dare you, John? Collector's boosters are meant to be used to play
something.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, imagine that would be such the shit show, a collector booster draft.
What's this?
Oh
What's this
my
game
God.
that these guys from Elkhart, the thing where you like flip over a card and then rip the next one?
I have never known.
Jesus
I have
Christ.
never known what that is. Maybe somebody can explain it to us because I've heard of people doing it. I'm just like, that's fucking stupid. That's fucking stupid. You're not even playing a game. You're just tearing things in half. Explain the game of that to me because I don't see a winner. I see that you just both destroyed property for no reason. Like, what the fuck?
Flip it, or rip it. All right.
No, so one thing that was interesting the other day, somebody asked me, Josh asked me, what do you think it is about Magic that allows for people to, or why is Magic the game that creates so much interesting space and people making their own game out of the game? And, that did happen for a while, and Magic is very kind of unique in that it did that for a minute, and you could do it more with that if you wanted. You could come up with a bunch of different variations and different ways to play the game. But when he said that, I'm like, I think it's just the nature of the game itself, the space it creates. But unfortunately, it stopped. It stopped at Commander. Commander was the last thing anybody ever tried to make out of Magic, and it's been that. Exactly. I told him, like, me and Dustin were trying to play Blue Collar Singleton, and nobody gave a shit. And anything that's not just wholly accepted by the community and pushed by people on the internet, nobody cares about, and so everybody just settled on what it is now, and nobody wants to do anything else.
Here's a question. So Wizards has had like 3 different attempted formats that just have never taken off in any way. What has stopped Wizards from just saying, we're going to print 50 of each deck, 4 different decks for this format, and we're just going to send them out to hundreds of different LGSs?
Right.
Like, it costs you next to nothing to print cards.
Yeah.
Like, why would you not just print 50 decks in shitty little cardboard boxes with no text on it? Here, hand these out.
Yeah.
Play. This is our new format. Play it. You have deck. Go.
No, they could. And so the thing that sucks
like
too
it.
is
I'd play it.
what's stopping the players from doing it. You know, because Commander is, if you trace it back, is a player created format, and before Commander reached its zenith in popularity, there were other things that people were playing with Magic
What
cards.
stops people is time and money. Like, your pre-modern deck are like, I could pay for a deck. I don't want to take the time to build it when I don't know other people are going to play it, because other people are going to do
Sure,
it
sure.
or aren't going to
That,
have
that
money.
is the
That
problem
is
with
it.
running new formats is getting people to build. And I've always said, what was the like faux format they had before Pioneer? Where
What was that called? Can't even remember
you
what they
know
called
what
it
I'm talking
now.
about?
Yeah.
It was like the
It was something very close
it was
to
like
Pioneer.
cons forward. Or
Yeah, I
something.
know what you're talking about. It's not.
But yeah, whatever that was, like people were talking
It
about
was
it,
a
like,
synonym for Pioneer.
I'll build for it, but I'm not going to be the first to build for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like if I see that everyone else is doing it, then I'll join in.
Right.
Well, it's the same as with all of the like Keyforge and like all those games that come out. It's like, yeah, it looks super interesting.
Carmel has 3 ripped fetches in his
Frontier.
binder from
Thank
Flip
you,
It or
Mike.
Rip It. Frontier, thank you.
Yeah.
3 ripped fetches from Flip It or Rip It.
You guys are silly. I would never in my life do that.
That game's worse than Commander.
Just throwing that out there.
Confirmed. Yeah. Confirmed.
He's got proof in his binder.
I hope that Carmel gets in an accident and can't repair his car. He's like $150 short, and he looks at those fetch lands, loses his job, becomes homeless, and like just has that binder of 3 fetches that he can't sell. Sells the binder, still
Right.
has the
Still
3
has
ripped
those.
fetches.
And then
so my life could've been
eventually,
different.
once he's on Skid Row, has to actually use those for kindling to start the fire.
Yeah,
Just to keep himself up.
exactly.
But respectfully.
Yeah, respect, like best intentions. Love the guy to death, but boy, I hope that I drive by him in a homeless shelter one day.
Classic Chris Priest. See? That first impression holds up, man. Holds up.
Great guy, God, love him.
Your land's coming tapped.
May as well be fucking ripped in half. Oh, shit.
All right.
Well,
Well, that's us.
yeah, that's us.
Yeah.
And I mean, everybody already fucking knew that, but I guess if anybody happens upon this video per chance, like, welcome to the norm and take action, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, is there a rating for this podcast? Is it TVMA? What is this?
We haven't established a rating, but
No.
we probably ought
CMA?
to.
I don't think we need that.
Fuck that.
I don't think TV needs it either.
Brief,
Right.
Honestly,
brief nudity and strong language.
You just can't say the brief nudity.
Yeah, that's the real reason there's no camera in here.
Have you seen these ones that's like rated mature for smoking?
Oh, dude.
What?
The day that I saw
Where's
a
the line?
warning for smoking, I was just like, sweet Jesus Christ, really? That's part of the rating now is smoking? Because that's gonna like lead someone to fucking murder somebody in a back alley. Like, just come on, man. Like,
It's so fun to travel overseas and like just see a pair of tits but they won't show a flip knife, and you come over here and it's like, well, we can't show the beginning of someone's butt crack, but we'll show this guy get disemboweled.
yeah, fucking bowels. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we'll show that up for you.
flashback to when I played Holler with Tron and just threw my cards on the floor.
Yeah.
Oh, can we briefly talk about the feeling of making someone leave the shop when they lose? Because God, that feels good.
Yeah.
No, come on. It feels good. John might not be into it. You're into it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't give a shit.
I've
Yeah.
retired a couple.
Yeah.
No, there's been some people that have got mad for sure.
One of my favorite Chris Priest moments is we visited the Plymouth store. So if anybody's ever played there, it's trash. Don't go there.
Yeah, it's not great.
But Chris, like, I don't know, he did pretty well. He didn't like win all. I think he might have lost one round or something like that.
I lost a
But
bottle.
He had some credit, and like he's standing in line, holding up a line, trying to figure out what to do with his credit because he has to spend it all because he knows he's never coming back. And like it's kind of a new store at the time, and they have like a bunch of stuff in boxes. And he's like,
And
"Well,
binders on the wall.
He keeps naming cards. Yeah, we probably have it somewhere. We don't know where." And he's just like, "Well, you got to look for it." And he's like, "What about kitchen finks? Do you have kitchen finks? That should be easy to find." Of course, you know it's in the kitchen. And the guy is clearly not amused. And like Chris is just like really like he really wants to spend this credit. And there's this like kid behind him, and he's like, "I wish I had $9 in credit." And Chris turns around and says, "Get better, dude." And then immediately starts asking for more cards from the guy at the counter. That to me, like, that just personifies Chris Priest as a person.
For sure.
Well, I mean,
that's why you need to get back to playing cards, Chris, because we missed that colorful pizzazz.
You know, your expert opinions would be like received better if people knew who you were.
this is true.
Right.
I do want to say you left out of the story that they had binders on shelves, and I was like, "Well, can I look at that binder? There's nothing in that binder. Oh, that binder has this set name. I'll look at a card from that set. Oh, there's no cards in that binder. Like,
Why do you have binders?
How am I the asshole in this scenario?
Right.
Get some
You're
fucking
just
cards out
teasing me,
there.
man. Come on.
You gave store credit as a prize, and you have nothing in your store.
Yeah, packs. I assume, maybe, I don't know. After all this, I don't know.
Packs. I feel like they had half a display case and no packs. Like it was a shit show.
Oh man,
It was not ideal.
It was a joke.
That place is terrible. Don't go there ever.
If I ever remember the name, I will say it.
They charge $25 a player for game day, which is supposed to be free.
free, yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Toys a free
dirtbag
event.
move. That's a dirtbag move by people who know that nobody else in Marshall County supplies a place to play Magic,
Right.
so we're gonna
Yeah.
fuck over the locals.
Right.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Now there's moments, people don't like the moments where, everybody has those bad moments, man, where they get fucking trounced and you don't feel good about it, but fucking take them lumps, man. Yeah. That kid hopefully went home and was like, shit, I gotta get better.
Like, I want to get that $9 in
Right.
credit.
You know what? You know who didn't help him that night? All his friends who were like, "You did really well." No, you didn't. You went 0-4.
Yeah. No, there is.
You did abysmally. You played poorly, and your cards suck. Like that's
Right.
that's the
Yeah,
truth
no,
about what
exactly.
happened tonight.
Exactly.
And I'll talk to you about it. Like I'll help you get better, but you did not do well.
I'll never forget this moment. We were at a Grand Prix, and I took Grixis Death Shadow, the old school version that was really cool. And I won round one, and like my opponent's buddy came over, and he's like, "Did you get there?" And he's like, "Almost, but not quite." And like I beat him 2-0, and it's just like
So
yeah,
that's
I had him
definitely
down
not
to
almost.
4, and it's just like,
I put myself
well,
down.
I
for
want like you're not like it's Death Shadow, right? Like aren't I always going to be at like 4 when
Yeah.
you die?
That's what me winning
it.
looks
Yeah.
like.
You didn't do that to me. I did that to myself. I mean,
Exactly.
I'm just,
I fed shock 4 times, but sure, you were
Right.
close.
John with his goats.
oh yeah, yeah. The guy that I was at Indy, and he sat down with me, and he's like, his introduction was not his name. It was, I beat this guy, which I don't fucking. Whenever any of you guys say names, I'm fucking clueless because I don't know a fucking thing about any of these people.
Sure.
And somebody's like, I beat XX pro player. And I'm like, who? He's a pro player. Like, oh,
Huh, cool.
and we're gonna play here, and yeah, that was
Abzan.
he was playing Abzan, super money pile, and yeah, he was not happy. He was not happy.
The thing
he
I-
died
the
to
thing
a
I-
Thraben Inspector because I didn't come with anything else.
Shocker. He died to Squawks.
Was it Squawks?
They were
Okay.
Squawks. So the thing is, John had this deck.
Squadron
and it
Hawks,
was-
for
it
those
was
of us on the
goats,
know.
and,
Right? Yeah. Don't know the
if there's
lingo.
one thing this deck preyed on, it was that.
it was the money
It was
pile.
rock.
It was rock. for sure.
Jund, Abzan. Those decks didn't have a prayer, and like afterwards, he was just this guy was so dejected, and I'll never forget. He was like, "I can't believe I lost to that," and All I looked at the guy and said, I can't believe you took a game off of it. Because we tested it against so many rock decks, and the rock decks never won.
Oh, yeah.
Ever.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy hated that. I'm sure Tommy hated that time in Magic because all he played was Jund, and we played so much of that match because we were just sitting around here with nothing to do, and he didn't like that.
I remember playing against you, and it's just like squawk, 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 go, 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 goat, board wipe. Are you gonna win now, Chris? You know I'm not, John, but I can kill your stuff again, I guess.
The problem was the lands.
Yeah.
The lands
Yes.
all made dudes.
Yes.
And the dudes were always really big
Yeah.
because he had like buffers. And that was the problem. It's like to beat it, you needed a deck that was really good at killing lands.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That was
Tech it.
the high time for that. I think that one I went
Yeah.
6
Two field
and
rules
3?
wasn't going to get you there.
no. No, that's why I took this. The current deck I'm working on is so much of a passion project for me because like it's the current version of that deck. It's a completely different fucking thing, of course, but the environment's completely different. You know, like the things don't line up. Like, there's no way I could play Honor of the Pure. You know,
Yeah.
shit, I
yeah.
can't even play Force of
Yeah,
Virtue,
you
which by
can't-
the way is not in that deck anymore.
You can't play permanents anymore because of prismatic
Well, you
ending.
can play permanents so long as they're 2-for-1s.
I think prismatic ending is the
Oh,
I think
dude,
it was the
warped
most warping
shit.
card.
Yeah, no, it did.
out of that,
It absolutely
that
did.
Horizon set
Well,
just because you can't play shit like
That
that.
set is just such a good example of how warping this shit is. So I was playing on Moto the other night, and I got a guy playing Infect with that white deck. Just beat the fuck out of him. I mean, it wasn't much. I solituded him, got him with the solitude, and he fucking, oh, goddamn solitude. He wasn't like shitty about it, but it created a conversation.
Sure.
And in the conversation, the end result of the conversation is the same conversation we've had so many times, is when you look at all the problem cards that anyone could argue is a problem card, it comes from Modern Horizons. Every one of them. And Modern Horizons 2 especially. Like, you've got everything is just so pushed, and everything just warped the fuck out of everything, and it just stomped all over the Modern we used to know. And now we have this weird amalgamation of shit that's like almost legacy, but not quite legacy, and it's weird. Shaking up things is good. Completely warping everything is maybe not as good, you know? Arguably. I don't know.
All right, so
Yeah, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
Well, I think if you're shaking up the format, Wizard keeps shaking up the format with things that cost 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that only goes one way,
Right.
Wizards.
No, it
It's
does.
real
Yeah.
tough.
It does, yeah. And it's not just a shake up, it's a turn upside down. Like, we want the format shaken up.
Mhm.
We don't want the format to turn upside down to make people completely reinvest in cards that are $60 to $100. Like, that's not, you want people to play, that's what's making people go to Commander, because they can just go gradually play some Commander and have an okay time, not have to spend $500 on
Would a
some shit.
rotating would a rotating ban list feel good? Like, hey, there's a new ban list. It's a temp ban list, 50 cards. Every 3 months it rotates out.
I just like 2 changes.
Yeah. I mean, 2 changes
Minimum
would
2
be...
changes. You unban something, you ban something, you ban 2 things.
2 changes would be
Maybe
enough.
50. I think 10. 10
Right.
cards. So this time we're losing Little Fairy, Squawk, Archmage's Charm, Amulet Titan, and like name
Crawl
some.
Worm.
And
Crawl
Crawl Worm.
Yeah.
We've
Now
been
banned in
doing
Modern.
a
Yeah,
lot
they
of
should
playtesting with Crawl
do
Worm.
do a random common, a random uncommon, and a random rare.
There you go. At random.
At random.
I think that would be great.
Computer generated, yeah.
Just, hey, all those top decks for the last 3 months. Yeah.
Now,
those
the
are
thing that I say about this power creeping cards, because in a while, like, you know, it's nice as the white player to get all these new cool things, but I can identify that, yeah, they're probably not completely okay, you know? Like, they just need to dial back on the supplementary sets we've talked about a lot on stream. Like, that's really what it is. If they were just printing normal set cycles for a year and let power cards happen naturally in the environment, we would never have any problems. I mean, I can't say that, I suppose, but the problems
We'd
would be a
have
lot
fewer
less.
problems.
We
We'd
would
have
have
fewer.
natural problems,
Exactly,
not like
natural
mutated
problems.
fish.
Yeah, exactly. No, for sure. We would not have fucking
You can
mutants.
argue that fairy tale set was more powerful than the 2 Horizon sets put together.
Yeah. Well, it was as powerful as MH2, for sure.
It was,
And it was a standard
pretty
set.
problematic.
No, it was. And so, yeah, they just need to dial it back, man, and just just let things happen a little bit more naturally instead of just printing money. But
I think Wizards needs to look back at all the apologies for banned cards and like
learn something.
They all share
Yeah.
the words. Well, we wanted to see how far we could push it,
Right.
and we made a change at the last minute. It's
Right.
like, hey, if you do any of these 3 things, these are considered red flags in your relationships with your player base.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't print that fucking card. Don't do
For
it.
sure. No, yeah. There's lots of things that could be being done better, but I mean, we're still playing. So
Yeah,
here we are.
Well, some
You're
of us are.
not. Yeah, you should be.
So I just wanted to say we've been babbling for we'll say an hour and 15 minutes of true
Right.
babble.
Yeah.
So
I think we should bring this to a close for this
Sure.
week. But
next week we'll be back. At least one more week we'll be back.
Yeah.
And, I'd like to delve into some of these. Let's ban shit next week.
I'm going to be in Ireland next week,
Oh,
and the week after, and the week after.
all
and the
right.
week
So
Okay, so in a month's
so
time.
Chris will be like cast from Ireland.
Yeah. I'll have an accent. It'll be great. A lot of potato-related material.
Oh, why did we start this week? Let's just
Um,
pretend this never happened.
Let's
start
just
over.
So
That's all right. This is an
put
all
the
right
sound,
start.
Put the sound test thing back up.
This is not a bad start. Not a bad start. So whenever Chris gets back finally, hopefully, doesn't join
So
the IRA or
Could,
something.
hey,
like that.
would a poll be an idea for like let's come up with a few topics and start a poll on the Take Action page? Like, what do you guys want to
If
talk
we get
about?
more than 3 responses to any one thing,
yeah. I love that idea. The efficacy, I am not so sure about.
yeah.
I'm an idea man. I can't execute on them, but I can come up with
We'll
them.
get 3 responses, and each one will be for something
Yeah.
different.
I mean,
So-
I definitely think that. I don't know. It was also nice. Thank you also for everybody that tuned
Yeah.
in to actually kind of give us some questions and point us in some directions. That was good. And at the end of the day, if that's just what it is, that's also not too bad. But I definitely bans would be good. It'd be a good topic.
I do really quick want to know why I'm the one behind plexiglass and you two are just like over
There's
there.
plexiglass.
There's plexiglass there too.
Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness! I just thought it was a personal thing.
No. We're killing sound waves here.
Yeah.
It's that too, but
Yeah. Oh shit. I would also one thing I'd like to talk about is just we were touched on it earlier, how the colors have shifted. That would be a good
That would
topic
be a good
for
topic,
conversation
yes.
too. How white has
Black,
become
black
what
is
it
now allowed to kill enchantments all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Well, green.
I don't know where this came from.
Green does
If I was
mostly
red, I'd
everything.
be pissed.
Mhm.
And just another one for maybe a separate day would just be looking at this shift in power over the years. 'Cause it's a super interesting thing to see.
is.
To look at how they started with card design and where they ended up with just power now.
Sarah Angel used to end games.
Yeah. While every other creature in that era was dog shit.
Uh-huh.
Where they're putting Force of Nature, like a fucking 10 mana 8/8 that
I played that.
came into play tapped, and you had to pay 4 mana, or it did 8 damage to you, or some shit like that.
No, you had to sacrifice it.
Yeah, I think it did damage.
Was it damage?
Yeah.
That's-
All that old shit did damage. It was like, here's an 8/8. If you don't pay 8 mana every upkeep, it downs you for 8.
Yeah,
Like,
Sacrifice
I
half
remember
your
that.
lands
when I-
every phase.
When I played it, I would take 4 forests and just shove them behind him.
Yeah.
Like, this is my upkeep cost forever.
Yeah.
Consider these never untapped.
Yeah,
exactly.
So, yeah, we're going to have one of those topics up next time in about a month's time, unless we can figure out how to have you guys from Ireland somehow. Maybe we put you on speaker.
That'd be sweet. We could get you on. We could just get you cast, man. Like,
I tried to find a shop in Dublin last time I was up there, but it was closed when I went. It was a little too late in the day. That'd be cool.
I have Microsoft Teams or something. We can.
Ooh,
I
yeah.
can get my Surface here with your picture, and we'll just. And we'll have you speak through the speaker into the microphone.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not savvy enough. I'm too old for all that.
Hear me out. I'm not worth it. It sounds like you're putting a lot of effort
Maybe
in.
we can get a guest.
Right?
I'm just not sure. Get a commander player.
I mean, he said himself he doesn't even play Magic.
Get a commander player. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. I feel bad already because, like I said, man, I really I'm not gonna bitch about commander. I'm not gonna bitch about commander. And lo and behold,
There's
we
not.
bitched about
There's
Commander.
absolutely nothing wrong with commander. There's absolutely nothing wrong with commander players. The
No.
problem is wizards sitting at the feet of commander for the last 5
yeah,
years.
no, for sure.
That's
So
where our
just
issue
we just
is.
want we need more egalitarian.
We just want some of
nature
daddy's
in this.
attention. That's all. Daddy doesn't like us anymore. It's hard to
No, he's coming back.
He's coming back.
He's off the sauce.
He's finally back with his pack of cigarettes.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, we might have a guest. We can see. I don't know.
Okay.
Get somebody else who's kind of.
I mean, if we do
Out
it
of it?
before Wednesday of next week, like I'm leaving Wednesday, so if
Yeah.
we do a Tuesday or something, I'm up for it. But
I'm down. That's up to
provided
Mr.
I
Holly
will
here.
have the time.
So-
I like whatever. What is today? I like this day.
This is Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Wednesdays are good.
Okay.
Wednesdays are
All
good.
right. Well, then we'll
Well,
wait
if we
for
could
Chris. We're finding guests.
move
I don't
this
wanna commit to
booth
anything.
to the limo, that would work.
All right,
So
well,
we're gonna wrap
thanks,
this up.
yeah.
We're wrapping it up.
We're wrapping it
So
up.
you said you had worked on an outro, John. What is it?
Outro. I didn't work on that.
Oh, that's weird.
I just want to throw a piece of
I will.
advice out to all the listeners.
Here we go. That's the outro. Advice.
If you
A piece
play,
of advice from all of us.
There we go.
if you play modern, remember your bobble triggers.
Yeah.
John, any wisdom?
Any wisdom? I would say that don't get discouraged. Classic. Boom. Right there. Don't get discouraged from playing competitive. It's worth it. It's worth it to play competitive.
Yeah,
It may be frustrating.
We have a couple of commander players that could make the jump if they wanted
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
I think they're
Yeah.
afraid.
It's you're gonna take some lumps. It's gonna be an adjustment. But if you love the game, if you feel like you really enjoy Magic from playing Commander, give it a shot. Give it a shot.
Advice. Losing is a big part of the game, especially as you make shifts.
maybe your game.
Losing is a big part. There we go. Losing is a big part of getting better at Magic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you can win with a deck, and if you want to get better, you need to change that deck up. You need to start losing and trying to innovate.
for
and
sure.
that's part of
Because
skill.
winning can be, like we were talking about earlier, with new players playing Tron, can be negative reinforcement.
Yeah.
They can think that, I'm a badass. Like,
Well, you
yeah,
missed
you had
half
a
your
really- you
triggers,
had a
but
really
you
big
made 7 mana
handicap
on
here,
turn
so,
3. So
you know.
like, that's
Yeah.
what happened.
So that's the wisdom from Take Action, from the trio that we are.
Oh,
Thanks for
and invest early.
yeah.
Yeah. Buy those lotuses like when you were like 14.
Yeah,
Right.
buy those Black Lotuses in 1995.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go back in time. Time travel.
I couldn't honestly back then. I just couldn't like bring myself to spend $100 on a
Right.
piece of
Yeah.
cardboard.
Yeah. Exactly.
I love hearing stories of, a guy tried to sell me 3 of them for $40 each, and I told him he was out of his goddamn mind.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like, oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay,
For
well,
sure. For sure.
How you feeling now?
Yeah.
Doesn't even add to the board.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
gotta sacrifice
Yeah.
it. Not playing that shit. Oh.
No, that'd be those cards, man. I've always thought about building a deck with Channel in a way that because Channel is a really crazy card when you actually acknowledge the fact that it says until end of turn you can do that. It's not that just you spend mana, you spend life and make mana. It's until the end of the turn. For this turn, you can spend life to make mana. So it'd be real easy to make an artifact deck that literally just plays itself out on turn 2. You know?
I'll give it a year, John. The way we're doing Magic right now with artifact decks, we'll do that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
channel
for sure.
into nightmare.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's a good one.
okay. Well, next time.
Next week.
Yeah, next
The
time.
guy who thought he could play Black Lotus in Modern used it to play Nightmare on turn 1 against me.
No, we had a local that played Dark Writ Nightmare.
That might be what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Dark Rit.
Yeah,
Nightmare,
it's
and I
like
was like,
2/2.
Yeah.
like, it's not legal, but I'll let you do it.
Yeah. All right. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do some more stuff at another
Yeah,
time.
Chris is going to be gone for 2 weeks. I did not know this. So we might have fill-ins. We might have to do fill-ins for.
I was under the impression it was going to be a monthly thing.
Well, I was
Maybe-
thinking
maybe.
bi-weekly. That's what I was.
Bi-weekly?
That's what I was trying to
Bi-weekly, that's kinky.
Maybe we're bi-curious. We'll see.
do. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Maybe nobody ever seems to anymore. So, all right. Anyhow, thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you at some other next time to be decided.